Hey, folks. Nice to see you. Of course, I'm not really seeing you, you're seeing me, but that's how these things work. Welcome. I am Phil Plate, aka the Bad Astronomer, and this is going to make me nuts. Hang on a second. Wow. See, I'm testing new software, and I've been playing with it a bit, and there's still a couple of tricks. I'm going to kick from studio. There we go. Yeah, I have this feed going to a couple of different places, and it was echoing. So I apologize if you heard that. It is now gone. Yes. Today is the 26th of March, 2020. I'm doing this because, well, a couple of reasons. I did live chats a long time ago. I wanted to have been doing them again for a while. But I don't want it to just be like me blowing blathering at you guys. I mean, it's fun, and I talk about stuff, and I can answer questions and do all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to do more, and for years, well, not years, but for a long time, I wanted to be able to invite guests and have my friends on and talk to them about stuff. And I finally think I've been able to do that because I'm using. Now, let's see if I can do this. Is it this way? Yeah, because it's backwards. I'm using StreamYard, which is a free service, and that allows me to not only do this, but to stream it to YouTube. Doing it on YouTube Live is a little bit of a problem. It's hard to invite guests on that way. Google Hangouts used to do it. Google Hangouts is no more, or at least on air live. And so StreamYard allows me to have a guest on. And so I will be doing that tomorrow. I will have a special guest. My very first one, never done anything like that before, so that'll be fun. And I'll tell you a little bit about that more later. I guess a lot of people are doing this now. I did a live chat with Kishore Hari and Trace Dominguez and Ashley Hamer and Adam Becker. I think that's right. I'm terrible with names. I can't believe I remembered that many names in a row, actually. And that was a lot of fun. And so I want to do something more. Of course, a lot of people are at home now and are looking for things to do, want to do stuff with their kids, learn about science, or just, have something a little bit different. I work from home, and at the moment, my life hasn't changed that much. I still write my blog for sci-fi.com. I'm still writing my newsletter. And in fact, the newsletter is badastronomy.substack.com. And this is running live there. As a matter of fact, I should probably check to make sure. Click play and see. Yeah, there I am. Okay, great. So you can do that. I think there's some way to push that to here, and I don't know how to do that. And what I'll do is in a few minutes, I just want to talk to you about a couple of things, and then I'll go to the YouTube channel and my newsletter site and take a look at, see what kind of questions y'all are asking. But so yeah, I'm staying at home. I'm still writing all that stuff. So my life hasn't changed hugely. I live out in the country. I don't have neighbors close by. We don't go shopping that often, but if we run out of milk, it's not a big deal to hop in the car and go to the store. Well, we can't do that anymore. And so it's kind of funny. It's not like all of a sudden I have a lot of free time. And it's ironic because the reason a lot of people suddenly have a lot of free time is because their jobs have sent them home. And a lot of people can work from home. Some people have been, I guess, furloughed is the term. Of course, there was announced that 3 million people applied for unemployment recently. So holy crap, that's staggering. That's so awful. And I understand that I'm in a really great position right now. You can call it privilege if you want, but I still have my job. I can still do it. The irony is that while a lot of people might have more time to do things and do like live chats, that kind of thing, I don't have more time. I just have to make time to do it. So I'm making the time. I'm trying to figure out what I can, not, read Twitter as much. And maybe that'll probably save like 4 hours a day. So hopefully that'll allow me to do more of this. I'm terrible at scheduling my time, which is one reason I found working from home works so great for me. Getting up in the morning, driving to work, showing up in an office, working for X hours, and then coming home. That never really worked for me. I can't focus on something that long. And so at one of my last jobs, my boss kept walking in as I was screwing around doing something else. And by coincidence, there was one day by coincidence, she walked into me like 3 times, and all 3 times I was screwing around. I wasn't spending that much time screwing around. It was just coincidence. But the fact is, I have to do that. I have to like pull myself out of what I'm doing, do something else, and come back to it. I don't have that ability to like focus on stuff for hours at a time like a lot of my friends do. Okay, well, so this works for me being at home. And doing a live chat, I think, will be fun. Like I said, I just have to figure out what not to do. And hopefully this will force me, if I schedule these, it'll force me to adhere to some sort of schedule, a minimal schedule at least, something to at least get me a little bit focused. I don't want to just be bouncing off the walls here, like trying to do a million things at once. So yeah, I wrote about this in my newsletter today, in fact, that I work from home. And so weirdly, besides, reading about it and hearing about it from my friends and everything, the direct impact on me of what's going on in the world has not been that huge. And that's weird, right? I'm writing about it. I'm reading about it. I'm hearing these awful stories. How many people are infected? How many people are dying? People are losing their jobs, all of that sort of thing. But here in my house, it hasn't been that direct of an effect. And then I was writing about this, saying how bizarre that is when, and how, that may change at any point, because who knows, we go out shopping because we need something, and boom, you get exposed to the virus. And I was writing about that last night when my governor, Jared Polis of Colorado, announced that, we're in stay-at-home time now. So that is like the first big direct effect, besides, having to be careful when I go out and do all that kind of thing. And I'm still kind of wondering, we're reading about people being infected. The numbers are still going up exponentially. In fact, there are a couple of graphs I've seen that I don't think have been verified, but they're using some of the current data that show that the number of cases are, the number of people who have been tested positive for COVID-19 or for the virus is going up in an exponential graph, in a logarithmic graph. A straight line is exponential growth. I don't want to get into the math of that, but if it's going up by a certain factor every day, like say 30%, 40%, or doubling every day or 2 days or whatever, if you plot that in a certain way on a logarithmic scale, you get a straight line. Well, in fact, the cases in the US that people are testing positive is not just a straight line, but it's actually increasing. It's increasing on a logarithmic scale. That's soul crushing to hear that we're getting so many more cases. Most likely it's because we weren't testing for a long time. And that means that now that we're actually starting to get tests and testing people, we're finding that people are positive. And so that's going up. So the governor of Colorado declared that we have to stay at home. So we're being more careful. Ironically, I had to go out. I was actually about to get ready to go out and run a couple of errands that we needed to get done when I heard that was being announced. And it was like, oh, okay. And I expected there to be a huge crush of people going out and getting last minute stuff. And it turns out not really. I didn't see that many people out at all. And when I went to one or two places, everybody was being really good, staying apart. I didn't see a lot of families, which is unusual. Normally you see people with 2 or 3 kids with them and everything. There wasn't a lot of that, which means a parent was staying home with the kids, I hope, a lot. There was a lot of smiling and nodding, as you do this to let somebody pass you and that sort of thing. So that was all very cool, ironically, I suppose, in a situation like this where everything is awful and going to get worse. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It's going to get a lot worse in this country. We are on target to blow away every other country on the planet for positive cases per capita, certainly. So I hope y'all are staying home. I hope you all are taking care. You're washing your hands for 20 seconds. You're doing all that wonderful stuff to make sure that you are keeping the virus away. And I hope that you are keeping your sanity, or as much of it you can have. Another thing I wrote about in my newsletter today was how I feel, well, I want to be careful how I say this. I actually feel isolated from everybody else who are having an impact on their lives from this, because like I said, not a huge impact because of all the stuff that I normally do. I'm just home all the time anyway. But hearing people's stories, like, somebody was saying, when Isaac Newton was quarantined because of whatever, because of the plague, he invented calculus, and Shakespeare wrote King Lear and all this. And then a bunch of people were like, yeah, but they didn't have kids, right? And they were rich and had caretakers taking care of all their stuff. So, they actually did have a lot of time. And I thought about that. And I was like, yeah, that's true. You want to be careful about those kind of motivational things, right? And somebody else mentioned, think about single parents, And I thought, oh man, that is true. It's going to be so much harder to find caretakers for your kids if you have to go off and work. And in fact, somebody I know is a nurse and a single mother. And so she's been having a heck of a time with it. So I'm trying to maintain contact with people outside of this bubble surrounding my house. I want to hear stories. I want to know how other people are faring, and try to maintain a link of empathy. Not just me being empathic with everybody else, but everybody thinking about everybody else and what everybody else is going through, because what other people are going through is not what you're going through. I'm at one end. I have it relatively easy for now. That could change any day. Other people are devastated by this. They're losing friends and family. They are used to working in a big crowd. Now they can't do their job. It's impossible from home. What do you do? There's all sorts of impact on our lives from this thing. So I just want to keep thinking about that. I don't want to let the fact that I've been working from home for like 640 weeks in a row flavor everything I hear and read about. And at the same time, I'm trying to maintain my anger at Trump and his regime for basically causing this. This is his fault. They're trying to blame China for holding information, and it's like, okay, sure, but for weeks you lied about this. For weeks you didn't do anything, and you're still not doing anything, and we could be testing people. And so there's a scene in Star Trek in the pilot where the Captain Pike, is being held captive by telepathic aliens, and the only way to fight them is to stay angry. And a woman he's talking to says, you can't stay angry forever. It's impossible. And I'm thinking, that may be true, but I've been keeping it up for 3 years. So it may be possible. And still staying angry, but not losing hope, not losing inspiration, not losing your empathy for your fellow human being, all of that. And that's hard. And in fact, that's why I'm wearing this shirt today for this. This is my Be Kind shirt. This is from my friend Chase Masterson, an actor on Deep Space Nine. She played Lita, the Dabo girl, who winds up becoming the queen of Ferengi or something like that. I can't remember the exact title. But she runs a wonderful organization, or she's part of a wonderful organization, here, Superheroes in Real Life. If you look up Chase Masterson, you'll find the name. I'm suddenly blanking. Superhero IRL is their Twitter tag. But it's basically supporting people, helping people who are in prison become members of society again. Anti-bullying campaign is sort of the big thing that she does, where she's reminding people to be kind. And bullies. There's a lot of bullying going on, and you may be doing it not knowing it. And reading what she's done has helped me understand the kind of dumb stuff I've done in the past as well as now. Sometimes you just don't think about what you're doing, and it's like you may be saying something that is impacting somebody in a way you're not expecting, and that is helping me understand that. So it's even possible I've said something bad here, and I do on Twitter sometimes. I made a comment today saying that I was surprised that in Colorado, marijuana, liquor, and guns are considered critical industries, and so they're still open. And I thought, well, medical marijuana certainly for people who have glaucoma or suffering from cancer or a million other things, but liquor, really, and guns? And then a bunch of people, I said, I don't understand how these can be critical as opposed to gee, I can't get a hold of this stuff. What a bummer. And a bunch of people came in and said, well, if you're an alcoholic and you have your liquor supply cut off, that's bad, right? And if you have other issues, that's bad. And I thought, okay, that's true. It's an interesting situation the government's in, where they don't want to necessarily support alcoholism, but they can't just simply cut off alcohol from people. And so the only way to maintain that is to call it an essential industry. So that's interesting. And I didn't think about that. Or I sort of thought about it, but I was thinking about it the wrong way. And people on Twitter were wonderful. I only had to block one dick who decided to be a dick. And I realized the way I phrased my question could have sounded like I was being flippant. I wasn't. I was honestly asking, why are these considered critical? And a bunch of people came on and were very kind. They were very kind. And they said, well, here's why. And I thought, oh, wow, okay, sure thing, right. Guns beats me. My country is nuts over guns, and I don't even want to go there, so I won't. Other than that, I don't have a lot of updates. I wrote an article today that I actually, for the blog today, that I'm really happy about. I've not watched the season finale of Picard. I'm really enjoying Picard. I have a couple of issues with it. Sure, I have a couple of issues with everything I see. But I really, really am enjoying it. And I haven't seen the finale yet, so no spoilers. But during the course of the episode, there's an astronomical thing they talk about, an 8-star system, what I thought would be called an octuple system, but in fact, it's an octonary, like, binary, trinary, quaternary, quaternary, quintenary, sextenary, septenary, octenary. And it turns out we don't know of any octenary systems, but they're possible. And so I wrote an article about it. If you go to syfy.com, syfy.com, you'll see it there. There's a bad astronomy link on the homepage too. I really had fun writing that. And I want to shout out to Ethan Siegel, who starts with a bang on Twitter, who also wrote an article about this for Forbes magazine, which I didn't know about until I was about halfway done doing my research on this article. I'd really read a lot and was poking around with orbital simulations and all kinds of things. And then I saw he had already written it. I was like, oh, but I realized that the way he approached this problem is different than the way I was thinking of it. So I don't think I'm stepping on his toes, but I want to make sure that you see his article. I linked to it in my article. Twitter thread this morning about all that as well. So you can see that and read it and enjoy it. Now I'm going to go to my newsletter page, and nobody's asking questions on the newsletter, but that's okay. But I bet if I go to the YouTube page, and this is difficult because I can see myself on the screen talking, 10 seconds delayed. That's weird. But here, let's take a couple of questions. And I'll just, I don't want to be here all day. I was going to be here for like half an hour or something like that. And it's already getting close to 20 after. So let's see. Patrick White is asking about Comet C19. I think it's Y4 Atlas. This is a comet. I don't know a huge amount about it. I plan on writing about it soon. It's in the northern hemisphere right now. It's actually not far from the bowl of the Big Dipper. So it's off the side of Ursa Major right now. It is not naked eye visible. It's about 8th magnitude. So it would have to be about twice as bright as it is right now before you could start to see it with your naked eye. But it's easily visible in binoculars. I have not gone out to see it yet. Our weather has been very dicey. It was clear last night, and it was super windy, which it is in Colorado next to the mountains here all the time. So I didn't go out to try to look for it. It's supposed to snow and rain tonight. Yay, short sleeve weather 2 days ago, and now it's going to rain and snow. Great. But hopefully in a couple of days, it'll be clear enough and I'll be able to go out and see it. It's been erratic. It's been brightening a lot recently. There's some hope it'll be naked eye in the next couple of months, maybe, as it gets closer to the Earth and the sun. So if you look up the comet, and it's Comet, just look up Y4, capital Y4, Atlas, ATLAS, and you'll find finder charts for it, positions for it, information for it online. And at some point I will write about it because bright comets are awesome and they're so much fun to look at. It doesn't have to be like Hyakutake or Hale-Bopp in the late 90s. They can just be faint by eye, 4th or 5th magnitude, which is getting towards the limit of what your eye can see. But through binoculars and telescopes, they're spectacular and a lot of fun. You can get pictures of them and everything. So that's great. So thank you, Patrick, for that question, and I will be writing more about that later. Oh, this is a good question. I like this. From Guitar Gill 1, how can the Milky Way be one of the largest galaxies, and yet Sagittarius A star, our central supermassive black hole in the middle of the galaxy, which has 4 million times the mass of the sun? If we're a big galaxy and we have a 4 million solar mass black hole, why are there lots of black holes that are hundreds of millions of solar masses in other galaxies that are about the same size as ours? And some of them are billions. And the answer is we don't know. It's interesting that it's not that those black holes are so much bigger, I think, is that ours seems to be undermassive. The Andromeda Galaxy, the nearest big spiral to us, its supermassive black hole is much bigger than ours. And this is a good thing about being online when you do these live chats. Supermassive black hole M31, which is the name of the Andromeda Galaxy. Did I type it correctly? Yes, supermassive black hole. Oh, come on. It's got to be in here someplace. Let's see. Solar masses. Isn't this fun watching me type into Google when you can't really see what I'm doing? Galaxy. Oh my God. Come on. It's got to be in here, right? It should be right. What is this thing doing that I can't find the mass of this black hole? It should be like one of the first things here. Okay, Andromeda Galaxy, blah, blah, blah. Morphology, location, so a double nucleus. Oh yeah, it has a double nucleus. Here we go. One of them's 15 million. That's the disk of the supermassive black hole. Here we go, finally. Of 60 million. Is that right? I thought it was 120, but okay. That's why you check online sometimes. And I trust this. This is Swinburne University in Australia, I think. And they have a great website where you can look stuff up. So the Andromeda Galaxy, which has maybe twice the mass of our Milky Way, they're, roughly equal to within a big factor. And its supermassive black hole is 15 times the mass of ours. Some huge galaxies have much larger ones. And why is that? Well, we know that these supermassive black holes form around the same time the galaxies do. It seems that we know that from a couple of ways. We can look at very distant galaxies. And if their black hole, if stuff is falling into the black hole, it builds up in a disk around it. And that disk gets very hot and glows. And the amount of light that comes out of that, how fast the disk is spinning, a lot of different factors tell us how massive that black hole is. And we can look at these galaxies that are 10, 11 billion light years away and see that they already have a supermassive black hole in them with millions or billions of times the sun's mass. That's interesting. They form very early, and they form at the same time as the galaxy does. And some of the properties of the galaxy scale with the black hole, which is interesting. Not every star in the galaxy goes around the center at the same speed. Even if you're the same distance from the center, you may be moving at a slightly different speed depending on your orbit. The spread in those speeds, which is called the velocity dispersion, apparently depends on the mass of the supermassive black hole. And that's weird. Not the velocity directly, but the spread of velocities of the stars in the galaxy depend on that. There's a bigger spread the more massive the black hole. I think that's right. Why is that? Somehow the black hole and the galaxy are talking to each other when they're forming. And that's interesting because the black hole is small. You might think a billion times the mass of the sun. Well, yeah, but these galaxies have hundreds of billions of times the mass of the sun. You could take our black hole out of our galaxy and the stars would not even notice, really. It's just a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of our galaxy. And there's some other properties that scale with this as well. And it's still not really well understood. So, some big galaxies don't have massive black holes. Some smaller galaxies have much more massive ones. It's a mystery. And there are smarter people than me trying to figure it out. So I can't answer your question. Sorry, it's spring is here finally. And so we're getting little tiny midges. They're cute little bugs that when it gets warm, we'll have literally millions of them here. But they get in the house and sometimes they're flying in front of me. So if you see me like swatting something you can't see, yes, I am losing my mind, but also it's because they're bugs. Jason Anderson, if Comic-Con San Diego happens this year, are you coming? Yeah, that's a good question. It's in July, right? I don't know. It really depends on a lot of things that are going to happen. I'm not planning on making any plans for anything, at least probably until the end of April. It's just too soon. We don't know what's going on. Like the governor of Colorado said last night in the press conference, this stay-at-home order is in effect until April 11th, for example, and then they'll take a look at the data again and see if it makes sense to extend it or stop it. And again, to get political, because I don't care. As a matter of fact, I do care. I'm going to get political. Trump says we're going to open everything back up by Easter because he just cares about how he looks. He wants to get reelected. He wants people to praise him. And so if he tells people we're going to be back open by Easter, yay, people will be happy. When it's garbage, it's baloney. And as a matter of fact, it's a terrible thing to do because he has no clue what this country is going to look like in 2 weeks. Exponential growth, folks, exponential growth. That means that we are doubling every 2 days, something like that, maybe less in the number of cases, which means this is going to be very, very, very serious by Easter. No way, I think, is this going to be anywhere near blown over by Easter. So by July, I don't know. You just have to see. I'll play it by ear. But if, whether I go or don't go, I'll be talking about it. Because I love Comic-Con and I hate to miss it. You can, some of this stuff, it's hard to do, but like this right here, the phaser and some of the other stuff I've got and the toys and things, I pick them up at cons and I love going. So I'd hate to have to miss it, but on the other hand, I want to be safe. Oh my gosh, Sean Johnson, hi. My name is Madeline, and I'm on my dad's YouTube account. You signed a post for me, and I love space and wanted to say hi. We are studying moon phases in science right now. Hi, Madeline, which is what somebody said right below you. Hi, thanks for coming in. Moon phases, that's really cool. That's one of those things in astronomy that you can demonstrate for yourself. And you can also go out and see it. And you can look at the moon and see how the phase changes every day. I have... my drawers here someplace, probably not. I am just woefully underprepared to actually do demos. Where's my tennis ball? Oh, this happened last time I did a live chat. Okay, I'm going to make a note to myself. Get props. But you can take, for example, a flashlight or a lantern or something and hold it up to a ball and look at it from the side and see that you're only seeing one side of it lit, the side toward the lantern, and the other side is dark. And that's the same thing with the moon. When the moon's up in the sky and and the sun is shining on it from the side, from our viewpoint, we see half the moon lit. It's a half moon. And you can figure out all the phases from there. It's pretty neat. In fact, a trick we did years ago was to go outside when the moon is up during the day, and it is up during the day, and you can get a ping pong ball and hold it up, and you can put it next to the moon, and the sun is basically shining from the same angle, more or less, and you can see that your ping pong ball is lit the same way the moon is. It's not perfect, but it's close, and that's really cool. It doesn't always work, and there are some things you have to know about it, but if you look that up online, you might be able to find how to do that for real. That's a lot of fun. So enjoy. I actually have no idea what the phase of the moon is right now. That's unusual for me, but there you go. But yeah, and if you have binoculars or a small telescope, you can still go outside as long as you're not near other people. And if you're with your family, I guess that's okay if you're staying at home with them anyway. And you can observe the moon. And in fact, Venus is up right now. Venus is up after sunset. It's half lit by the sun. And over the next few weeks, as it comes closer to the Earth around its orbit, it's going to get bigger and it's going to get a thinner and thinner crescent. And so by April, I think it's going to be a beautiful crescent that you can see through a telescope. That'll be really awesome. Melissa Lee, I have no idea who that is. Okay. I'm kidding. Hi, Melissa. Nice to see you. Our toilet paper stores are in fact bountiful. We just happen to have toilet paper here, so I'm doing okay. Ironically, it was hand sanitizer I ran out of. I almost never use it, but I use it when I travel all the time because airports and airplanes are horrifying. And you shake a lot of hands when you're giving talks or going to conventions or whatever. And so I always have hand sanitizer in my backpack. when all this started, I checked and I looked at it and I had like, bottle and I had this much left. Oh, too late. There's nothing, nowhere to be found. I was out shopping last night and it's amazing what's gone. Flour, all baking products. I guess people assume they're going to make their own bread and cakes and stuff. Toilet paper, canned goods, just wow. Yeah. I was lucky to be able to find what I did last night. A couple of people mentioned Venus. New moon was Tuesday. Really? That recently? Okay. Oh, here's a good question from Kevin Mayer. Do you have a go-to soundtrack when you're stargazing? I'm thinking classical or psychedelic rock. I listen to both classical and psychedelic rock, and prog. Prog is good. Yes is pretty good. I actually don't listen to music when I stargaze. When I'm out, if I'm out just with binoculars, it's usually just for a few minutes. I don't set up my telescope myself for that much anymore. If it's a special occasion, I will. The problem here in Colorado is that in the winter, it's too dang cold to go out and observe a lot of the time. I actually went out observing, was it last winter? And my tablet, which I was using to look for stuff, like, oh yeah, where is that galaxy? My tablet stopped working. It was so cold. And the battery I was using to power the telescope decided not to power it anymore. Have it plugged in? No, I had the battery I was using. That's right. And it's like, yeah, if my electronics are freezing up, it's probably time to go inside. And in the summer, there are enough ponds in this area, just in what we call the foothills of the Rocky. I see the Rocky Mountains there to the west. And then there are the smaller mountains in front of them. And those are called the foothills. And to the east of that, it's flatter, but there's tons of ponds and lakes and reservoirs here. So the mosquitoes are a plague. And if you go out at night, especially around sunset, which is when I like to go out, you will dissolve. You will be swept away by mosquitoes. So I don't stay out very long. And so when I'm out, I don't listen to music much. I do all the time when I'm writing, and that's classical, rock. I love soundtracks. That's something I got into when I was a kid. Somebody got me Star Wars when I was like 13 or 14. It's about the time the movie came out, actually. A lot of the Marvel soundtracks are good. Ant-Man and the Wasp is probably my favorite. That's really good. Doctor Who, some of the Star Trek soundtracks. And what's now called epic music. I've written about that a couple of times. Like the kind of music you hear during movie trailers. And it's like candy. It's not like really deep, layered, subtle. When you listen to a symphony, there's a lot going on. It's like a novel. And these are like a short story. So not even a short story. It's like a vignette. But they're fun to listen to. And I love the chords and I like the structure of them. So they're fun. And a lot of the times if I'm drinking coffee and typing and I'm listening to that music, I can get up to as much as 700 words per minute on my keyboard. Well, not a lot of questions in YouTube unless I'm not seeing this correctly. That's unusual. In the chat room, one new reply. Do you have a go-to soundtrack when you're stargazing? Hey, you posted this in both places. That's funny. Hey, I tell you what. Oh wait, got a new question from Tycho Lebowski. Oh, this has always confused me. Cryovolcanoes. Why do we have a separate word just because of our liquid water bias? Why not just volcanoes? Well, they are volcanoes, right? And there are different kinds of volcanoes. Stratovolcanoes, shield volcanoes, mud volcanoes. They're not always necessarily one word, but cryovolcanoes are volcanoes. But these are, as the term implies, as cryo implies, they're cold. So you go to a world like Ceres, the largest of the objects in the asteroid belt. It's actually a protoplanet. Ahuna Mons, which is this gigantic mound on Ceres, is a cryovolcano. It looks like it was water and mud and salty water forced up from the inside, and it flowed away. And we see this on Pluto. There are a couple of things that really look like volcanoes, but there's no lava on Pluto or under Pluto. There's no lava at Ceres. It's not big enough. And this is their water. So they're ice volcanoes, cryovolcanoes. So, just a term. It makes it immediately, although some of the forces are the same, it immediately distinguishes what you're talking about. On the other hand, we have volcanoes on Io, and I don't think anybody calls them anything but volcanoes. And but I think those may be more like Earth's volcanoes. Because it's sulfur. I don't know how hot they are, to be honest. So I don't know. It might be in between. But we should just call those sulfur volcanoes? What would that be? I don't know. But, they're different kinds, different terms. Have I been watching Cosmos? No, I have not yet. I didn't even know it was on yet. I thought it was still a few months away. So sorry, no, not yet. If galaxies have black holes, why don't they eat the whole galaxy? Asked by Sean Johnson. That's because the black holes are small. Black holes don't have infinite gravity. They just have very strong gravity. They have as much gravity as their mass gives them. So if you have the sun has a certain amount of gravity, and you could call that one solar mass worth of gravity. The black hole in the center of our galaxy has 4 million times the sun's mass. So it has 4 million times sort of the sun's gravity from far away. The thing about a black hole is that they're small, so you can get really close to them. And then the gravitational effects scream up. But from far away, from our distance, the supermassive black hole in the center of the galaxy is no different than just 4 million stars all stuck there in one little place. And that's why. And the stars are orbiting our galaxy, the center of our galaxy, just like the planets are orbiting the sun. That depends on the gravity of the object in the center. If the sun had more mass, the Earth would be going around faster. If it had less mass, it'd be going around slower. But those two things balance. You can think of it, and the equations work out this way, that there's a centrifugal force. There's a force outwards because of the spin of the planets in their orbit versus gravity inward. You can balance those two and calculate how fast you have to go around. And it's really centripetal acceleration. It's a different way of phrasing it. Centripetal acceleration and centrifugal force, or centrifugal force, however you want to pronounce it, those are really the same thing, described two different ways. You're just changing your frame of reference. One of them is you're looking outside and you're seeing something moving around in a circle, and one of them is you're on that thing moving around in a circle. It's the same effect, but you're just seeing it two different ways. The math works out. And I've been meaning to write about that. I've written about it before, but I need to make it more clear. But you can actually do the math and show that these are an acceleration and a force are different, but they are very, very, very similar. And that's what's going on here. But anyway, the point is, the mass of our galaxy far, far larger than the central black hole, and that's what dominates the sun's orbit around the galaxy. If you removed our black hole, the sun's orbit would be virtually unchanged. If you removed all the stars in our galaxy, the sun's orbit would change a lot, because that's where most of the gravity of the galaxy is coming from. It's coming from the hundreds of billions of stars, not from the one black hole in the center. So I hope that answers your question. Judy Schmidt says, I want to know how globular clusters form, but it's such a pointless question. Nobody knows. That's funny. Judy is an image processor. I've shown her images on my blog many times. And on the newsletter today, I showed an image she put together of a globular cluster. And I don't think it's so much that nobody knows. It's that I think we're a little confused. A few years ago, not that long ago, we thought that these clusters of stars, and these are spherical clusters of hundreds of thousands or even up to 1 million stars or so. And they're very small, compact. There are 160 of them that we know of orbiting the Milky Way. Other galaxies have them as well. And they're very old. And we thought they formed first. And that maybe they formed easily when the universe was young and collided to form galaxies. That was an old idea. Now we know that galaxies formed separately. But we thought they all kind of formed really early, and then data started coming in. It's like, well, some stars in the globulars are like 1 billion years younger than other ones. So clearly there's been ongoing processes making stars. And then it started getting more confusing. And then you start looking at the biggest ones like Omega Centauri, which is a very large one. It's actually visible to the naked eye. And it is probably not a globular cluster at all. It may be the core of a small galaxy that got eaten by our galaxy. And so now some of these are clearly cores of old galaxies that were stripped of all their outer stars, leaving just the core behind. Think of it like eating a peach whole. And you don't do this, but your body can digest all of the squishy stuff on the outside, but the pit, that's indigestible. And it's like the core of the galaxy doesn't get ripped apart so easily. And that's what some of these globular clusters clearly are. So it's complicated. And that happens over and over again. You look at something, a collection of something, and you think, oh, these are all pretty much the same. And then it turns out, no, they're not. Not at all. The better you study them, the more carefully you study them, the more in depth you learn about them, you realize, yeah, it doesn't work that way at all. Planetary nebulae are another thing. We used to think these were just sort of spherical clouds of gas surrounding dying stars. And it turns out they're hugely complicated, all sorts of things going on with them. We don't understand them. There's a lot we do understand, but there's a lot we don't. And it was right around the time I was getting my master's degree that we were figuring out that these are a mess. These are hard. And I wound up getting my master's degree studying one of those kind of nebulae. It was fun. Super hard work, but it was fun. I'm gonna wind this down pretty quick. People are still asking questions. Hold those questions. I will be doing more of these live chats. I want to just do one thing because this cracks me up. Let me go to my streaming page again. There I am. Boy, it's weird on the YouTube page having it being delayed 10 seconds because I'll do something with my hand and then I'm just on the screen. I'm just blah, 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 and 10 seconds later my hand goes up. I'm going to invite somebody else into this chat. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. How you doing? I'm doing fine. This is really strange. Yes, it is. Are y'all getting dizzy yet? This is really silly. I can invite other guests into this chat. So I sent myself an invite and did it on my tablet here. How do I do this? There it is, my tablet. And so it's off here, and you can see how I do this. There's my model of the Enterprise E given to me by my friend Holly. Boy, this is hard to do, hard to point. Here's my microphone. That's really, here we go. See, and if I hold it up here like this, then it's kind of like the same shot. There you go. Cool. And earlier on at the beginning of the chat, when you were hearing the echo, that's because I was doing it on my phone here. And for some reason, and this is why you do test live chats by yourself before you invite a guest in. For some reason, I couldn't get the phone to turn all the way down. And when I hit my tablet volume, it doesn't go all the way down to 0. And I don't know why it's doing that. I have the speaker turned off, so you're not hearing it. It's not echoing. But that's really weird, and I don't know what's going on. But that's something I can be careful about when I have my live guest tomorrow. I won't say who it is yet. This person has said they want to do it, but I want to make sure that there aren't any scheduling conflicts or anything like that. But I will have a guest friend who is on, not a scientist himself. Oh, it's a dude. Not a scientist himself, but he loves science. He loves tech stuff. If you're a sci-fi nerd, you may be familiar with him. So that would be a lot of fun. I've known this guy a long time, but we've never actually physically met. We know each other online, and just never wound up like going to the same conventions at the same time or anything like that. But that'll be fun because he's a riot. We actually chatted a couple of days ago for the first time. We just Skyped each other just to talk, and we've never done that before either. It's always been asynchronous communication, right, through messages on Twitter or whatever. So that was actually fun to talk. And that'll be probably tomorrow. No promises yet, but I'll be announcing that tomorrow. Boy, this is really distressing to see both of me. It's like I could sing a duet with myself. So that'll be tomorrow. Got another blog post going up tomorrow. Oh, I gotta write that. What time is it? Oh, it's 3 o'clock my time. I better get on that. And that's it for now. Thanks everybody for showing up and bearing with me while I had some problems here and fixed everything. It's also nice to know that the lighting. Boy, look at the difference between my webcam right here and my tablet cam here. Look at the difference in the color balance. This actually looks more like my pasty alabaster, slightly pinkish skin, but the shirt is pink and it looks better on this camera. Wow, that's strange. Well, I'll play with the lighting some more and try to get that right. It's very difficult because I have 2 windows and I set up a light over here to help, but it's a nightmare. This is a small room and it's just hard to get the lighting right. But anyway, be that as it may, thank you for putting up with this. Thanks for asking questions. again, take care of yourselves, take care of those around you. Act as if when you go out, act as if you are infected and you're contagious. And that's a good rule of thumb. When you touch things, when you do things, don't think of it so much as, is this contaminated? Think of it as, is my hand contaminated? Have I done something like that? And that will help you, keep things to yourself and keep things away from you. So support each other, help each other, and of course, be kind to each other, folks. And I will talk to you all very soon. All right. Bye-bye.